Hey guys, this is David Wynn with the Mortgage Edge podcast brought to you by Click and Close Mortgage. Today, I have a great guest, a very special guest, someone that I've been looking forward to talking to on this show so I can share her story with the rest of you guys. Jennifer Ghigna from Wichita Falls, Texas. Welcome to the show. What's going on, lady?
Yeah, hey, thank you so much. Yeah, it's good. Good trying to finally get our schedules together and making it work.
I know, right? Well, I mean, it's busy, you're you're in real estate, I'm in mortgages, and it's hard to just take, 5 minutes to breathe, much less try to do something like this, right? So I tell people all the time, be careful going into real estate and mortgages because it's a 24/7, 7 days a week job, is it not?
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. So let's get to know you a little bit. I know your story, but the folks out there don't know your story. So you're in Wichita Falls. How long have you been a realtor, and how long have you been in Wichita Falls? Just give us a little background of Jennifer.
Yeah, so I landed in Wichita Falls July 4th, about 6 years ago. So about to hit 6 years total here.
Hmm.
Landed from England, so stationed over there at Lake and Heath Air Force Base, and then came here. We were only supposed to be here a couple of years, but now I will probably be here quite a bit longer, probably another 5 years, because I recently just went through a divorce. And then I have two boys. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. My 12-year-old's about to turn 13. And I am hitting 5 years in real estate in October.
Wow. So you're a newbie, a rookie, but not a rookie because you're not putting up rookie numbers. And you've been killing it ever since you got into real estate. What'd you do before this?
So prior to real estate, I was in social work.
How long were you in social work?
So I only did social work only a couple years because then when I had my son, I actually had my son while I was in college because I graduated pretty late. I definitely took 7 years to graduate college because I had a lot of fun.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, and so I ended up finishing at 25. Was I 25 or 26? I was 25. And I had my son the week before my 26th birthday. And then we ended up like moving, and then so I was working. I don't know. I worked in CPS, like I did just 6 months there. Um, and then I worked at for our kids for my internship, and then I just did fill-in days since we were in the process of moving. And then when my son was 10 months old, he was deemed with like special needs. We just didn't know what special needs it was. We just knew he was like severely delayed. And then a few years later, and multiple doctors later, we found out he was on the autism spectrum. So then I stayed home for 7 years, and we were moving around. We lived Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, North Carolina, England, then back to Texas. And then I went TDY en route with him one time to Alabama with my ex-husband. So I did a bunch of moving, and we did all of that in under 10 years, but we were together for 16 years.
Yeah, welcome to being a military wife, right? That's part of being in the military. I tell people all the time because I deal with a lot of VA loans and stuff like that. It's not for the faint of heart, especially the people that are in it full time. You move around every 2 years because that's when you get stationed. And the secondary thing is you're a single mom for deployment and stuff like that. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Even though
And
you're
that's
moving, even though you're moving with them, yeah, I mean you're basically a single mom.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's essentially what led to our divorce anyways, was why be married if they're never home and don't participate? I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't to be harsh, but he always chose work over me. So I
Well,
was
I,
tired
I
of that.
tell I tell stories about that all the time. My brother-in-law is a pilot. And back in the early 2000s when we were going through all the Middle East wars and stuff like that, he was on his third deployment. My sister had two kids under the age of two, and basically he was about to go on his fourth deployment, and he was, I think, 1 year away from his 20-year retirement. And she basically said, if you go, we're gonna get divorced. I need you here. And he gave up he gave up the military to stay home, and it was the best decision he ever made. So it's our military people are not without sacrifices, personally, emotionally, and all that stuff. So I commend you for being a military wife. I want to talk a little bit about CPS before we go into that. What's that like? holy cow, in every city, in every state,
Yeah,
what
that
lives,
was.
I mean, it's just because I love children and every who doesn't love children, right? And so it's the most vulnerable of our society, children, that you're helping out. Well, what is CPS like in Wichita Falls? Was it Wichita Falls?
So I did CPS when I lived in Enid, Oklahoma when I was going through college. So I did like 6 months and that was enough for me. I got to experience, I was a child welfare aide. So I
Hmm.
got to basically do kind of like all the stuff with the child welfare workers. So that was nice. I mean, I got to see all the cases. I got to take a lot of, honestly, I dealt with a lot of teenage pregnancies, taking them to OB appointments. I was there for some removals. Like that was intense. And then there was one, it was a 6 week old who was uh bludgeoned to death. That was awful.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I saw like the autopsy report, and that was the end of my after that. And then I had some other interesting experiences. I did get to experience like the adoption side. I got to spend like a month in that department. I got to, because this is when I was in school for social work. So I basically got to like kind of figure out, is this where I want to go? And negative.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
The reason why I ask is because you gotta have a great heart to be a social worker. Number two, social work doesn't pay anything.
no,
I mean, it's minimum wage at best, and to do so much, it's a shame that it's like that, but that's what it is. I have some friends that are in social work, and that's what it is. So let's fast forward to your real estate. What the heck made you get into real estate, crazy woman?
yeah. So when we moved here from England, after I had my son in services for about a year, I finally got him into ABA. I was commuting to Lawton, which was a 50-minute drive, 3 days a week to get him ABA. And then I was finally able to, actually, my ex, I told him either like his therapists were basically like, Jen needs to go back to work or she's like just going to lose it. Like she has lost herself so much. Like she needs to rediscover herself. So actually, his commander at the time, Colonel Hickey, offered him to work remotely, part time, like on, I think it was like 2 days a week or something, um, so that he could work in Lawton on 2 days a week for Braden to go to therapy. So I ended up going back to work. I actually became the domestic violence coordinator and counselor here because I thought, okay, I'll go back to social work.
Yeah.
Well, first I worked in a law firm. I worked at a nonprofit law firm, and then the domestic violence shelter here kind of recruited me. Went over there, and then I was just like, I just cannot, I cannot be in social work anymore. Like,
The
um,
stories.
yeah, it was rough. So I only did that for it was like under 3 months, and I left. And my good friend Caroline, who I actually do a lot of loans with as well. I think I've talked to you about her.
Yeah.
She's local here. She saw me in the drop off line for preschool at Wichita Christian, and she was like looking at me because I used to wear basically suits every day, like business suits and like blazers. And she was like, "Are you on a staycation?" I was like, "Nah, I quit my job yesterday and just like straight up quit. Just walked in and quit." I was like, "I've never done that in my life." I was like, "But I just couldn't take it anymore." So she got me. I was a mortgage loan processor, and a couple
Mhm.
months into that, I was like, where's everyone making money? And I have horrible ADHD, like horrible. And I was undiagnosed at the time, but I knew I had it. Um, and so I was the girl in the office who would like make laps. What are you doing for lunch? What are you doing for lunch? What are you doing today? Does anyone want to go walking? Don't want to do anything? Like I was horrible. I didn't sit well at my desk. I have a standing desk now. Um, and I primarily stand for work whenever I work. But I figured I would sit for this interview so I wasn't making laps.
What they?
And then I just started looking at the contracts a little bit differently. And I was like, the realtors are making this. So about 6 months in, I think, that's when I was like, I'm going to go to real estate school. And I did it. I finished everything in 89 days, license, finished all my classes, got license tested 89 days. And then my bank was super supportive of me joining real estate. They were like, girl, yes, you cannot sit at a desk.
So you worked at a
Um,
local bank?
yeah, so I worked at American National and they were the best. I love them. They were good to me. And they were so good to me when I left. They threw me like a farewell party and celebrated me, and they were amazing.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And so 89 days, got into real estate. What was that like? Let's talk about your first year in real estate, 5 years ago. Well, I mean, how many transactions did you do that first year?
I can never remember if it was 37 or 47. I really need to go back and like remember that number. It's either 37 or 47.
Doesn't matter. And the reason why I said that because most people do 4 or 5 if they're lucky. And wow, hey, genie in a bottle, let's pop it. Well, how the heck did you do in a small market? Because Wichita Falls is a small market. How do you do 37 or 47 transactions your first year? Where
I
were you
cry
getting the
a lot
lead?
in front of YouTube University.
YouTube University. Hey, man, you know what? I tell people all the time, forget college, go to YouTube University for your education. Um, is that where you learned everything or
That
about real
is
estate?
where I learned everything. Olivia Mills, who actually ended up when I switched from my local brokerage to EXP after a year. She actually, Olivia helped me with my very first contract ever. She was an agent that worked in my small boutique brokerage that I was with at the time. And there's another agent there, Mindy. She was really sweet. They both took really good care of me and taught me. And I mean, other people in the office too were amazing that I'm still friends with. And we do work together and it works well. And I wanted to switch to EXP because they were big and I was looking for like a business coach and like, because I didn't understand, the first year that I needed to open up an LLC and that I needed to, I mean, nothing like being told you owe 40 grand in taxes.
Yeah, they don't tell you that your first year. You get in and you spend, right?
Yeah. Ooh, I vomited literally, like looked at the CPA, looked at a trash can and just straight up puked. I was
Yeah.
like, $40,000? That's a joke, right? Like, this is a joke. And he's like, no. I'm like, that is a joke. Now I know instead of spending that 40 grand to the IRS, you buy yourself a rental property.
There you go.
You live and you learn things that you don't know your first year in real estate. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's go back. What 37, 47 transactions. You said you learned a lot on YouTube, but how was someone giving you leads or how did you just go out and get leads? How did you get your leads from day one?
So it ended up being like just Facebook, honestly, to begin with. So Facebook helped me. I didn't close my first deal until like 3 or 4 months in. I think it was like month 4. And it was all the way in Jabber, Kuwait. It was one of my good friends. So um the police who check you in on base, because I lived on base my first year when we moved to Shepherd. Um, Chastity and her husband, they messaged me on Facebook, and they were both of them were deployed at the time because they're both active duty, and they were in Jabber, Kuwait, and they were like, "We just want a rental." I was like, "Praise Jesus, I'll do a rental. I'll do anything." Because I was spinning my wheels trying to figure out how to get a client. And I showed them one rental and they were like, actually, we think we want to buy. So it's not even like I knew how to convert from a renter to a buyer, like not a clue. I did nothing. I showed a rental. I didn't even offer purchasing. I didn't even like, I was so desperate for the rental. And I mean, we literally closed 30 days later, but then within that, they then told their friends and their friends told their friends. And then within that month, I had 5 closings.
That's
Um,
incredible.
and that's just kind of how the snowball effect started. And then I started basically having a closing every 1 to 2 weeks, which was pretty awesome. And then I did pay for realtor.com for 6 months and I only had one closing. But get this, I only had one closing from realtor.com, but I did meet this horrible investor guy who ended up connecting me to an investor that I still work with today. And right now, I think I have 8 or 10 of his listings.
Yeah. So over the last 5 years, you probably have 8 or 10 a year plus.
So we do like 20 transactions a year minimum.
That's awesome. See, that's how you go. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the VA loan. So, because investor, you could do a VA loan with that. You probably had to do a conventional FHA as an investment property. But I do a lot of VA loans. And what one people don't know is it has to be owner occupied to be a VA loan. But because military people are moving every 2 years, I have people that have built their portfolio during their active duty from 5 to 10 to whatever. So come in, buy it as a VA loan, and then they'll refinance it, and then go buy another one as a VA loan when they move. And pretty soon you built this massive portfolio because the VA loan zero down, great rates and stuff like that. So we actually teach that to our veterans out there.
Yep. And I always tell all of my, excuse me, all of my military families, you will become wealthier if you purchase real estate than you will ever get in any of your retirement spending 20 years serving this country.
That's right.
I'm like, don't just serve the country, use your benefits to make you a millionaire because you're never going to become a millionaire being in the military.
That's right. That's right. Great advice. So let's go back in time. Can you think of that one? Because obviously, the moment you got in real estate, you said this is the career for me, right? Is there? This is what you want to do for the rest of your life, Jennifer?
Oh, yeah, I will forever stay in real estate. I think for once, like, I was never a very good employee. And I always liked to lead. Like I was president of my department in college. And then my senior year, when I was pregnant, I stepped down to vice president. I'm even still the national director for military spouses for EXP. I've been doing that for almost 3 years. I am stepping down in October and have some new adventures starting, hopefully. I just can't talk about them yet. But I love the unstructured, structured lifestyle that real estate gives me. And more importantly, it really opened up my network. And your net worth is basically who you network with. And I have had really incredible opportunities, which has really opened up a lot of doors that I would have never had I stayed in social work or even, going through my divorce. I wouldn't have made it. I would have never survived financially without real estate, even with the struggles. And it's not like I'm doing baller right now. I think everyone is struggling right now. I mean, I have 16 listings. I cannot get anything to sell. Um, my transaction count is down, but my listings are up. I mean, it's
Right.
crazy. But that's how it is with everybody. I mean, I've talked to 6 different brokers in the past 2 weeks, just calling them saying like, hey, like, how is it going? They're like, terrible.
But things are
You know,
said. The economy, people are like I said, it's the largest purchase of your life. People are staying away from large transactions, whether it's car or high ticket items. I mean, what's higher ticket items than a house? It's the unknown. We need to get to a place of stability. And that's uh, only time will tell.
yeah, yeah.
So tell me this, what's that one transaction, go back in time, what's that one transaction that you did that whenever you completed it, you were like, hey, you know what? This is why I'm a realtor. I love doing this. Can you think of one?
Um, I think it's all the first time home buyers who I help. I
Yeah.
think it's the super young military families, um, getting them into a home because here it doesn't make financial sense to rent if you are an enlisted family because your BAH that you're getting, you're going to spend more in rent when you could just purchase like $150,000 home, 150 to 200,000. And our average sale here is under 200,000. So like you can actually get a very livable, nice, decent home for that price. Like people hear that price and they're probably thinking I'm putting people in shacks, but I'm not. I'm putting them in like 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2 car garage homes that are very nice.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, dude, when the rest of the country is at 3 or 400,000 as an average, and you're in that market, stay there. Cost of living seems like it's agreeable. So that's awesome. Is there anything I mean, right now in your real estate business, is there anything keep you up at night other than not selling any listings or whatever? Or is there anything that you're concerned about in the real estate market?
Um, I think right now just trying to figure out. I just went to a conference about 2 weeks ago and listening to the CEO of EXP Talk, Leo. He was saying, this is kind of the season for people to do home equity, um, do some HELOCs on their homes. I don't know. I think what's something interesting, I was actually talking to my friend who's a broker yesterday, and we were talking about how no one is talking about how, like, during recessions, the rich get richer and basically the poor get poor and the middle class is just slowly going away. But like, for some reason, people don't seem like upset about it. Like, that is super confusing right now, for me, because I mean, it's interesting. Luxury real estate is doing incredible right
Yeah.
now.
People are paying cash.
People are paying, exactly. People are paying cash and no one's batting an eye. But then, that 400,000 and below, we can't get buyers into houses because either like their debt is too high, um, or just no one has like that cash, which is why, I love the VA loan because it's zero down. Um, and it's interesting because I will get some clients who, they have VA benefits and they'll be like, I don't want to use my, VA loan. I'm going to do conventional. I'm like, why? It is literally your interest rate is lower. You can put zero down, take that cash and invest it in something else
Yeah.
or buy your rate down. Like, how long are you going to keep this house? It might make sense. Now, if you're only going to be in that house for 3 years, no, don't buy your rate down. It doesn't make financial sense. But if you're going to keep it as an investment, buy the rate down and just hold on to it. And someone else is paying for your savings.
Well, it's called education. That's why you're there. And after you tell them, it's amazing how many people still think they have to put 20% down on a house. It was their first house, or they just don't know. I mean, until they talk to a lender or they talk to someone like you that's an expert in the business that knows what the heck they're doing. So it's just education. I'm sure after you tell them that, they're like, yeah, let's do that. So Jen, what's one strategy or mindset shift that helped you break through a plateau in your real estate business? What makes you what is it that separates you from the other realtors out there?
I was one of the first people here to do social media. So I have kind of an interesting social media story as far as like I always try to save people money because I made the biggest mistakes in my marketing. I thought I had to pay all these companies to edit my videos and do all this shenanigans. Anyways, I ended up spending $60,000 about, it's been almost 3 years now, a year in marketing. Like the end of the year when my CPA was going through everything, it was like basically 60K in marketing through like video editing. None of those videos, most of them I've actually deleted at this point. None of them are even visible. And I kind of went behind my social media people and I was like, I'm going to open up a TikTok. I opened up a TikTok, like, I think it was like the day or two before Thanksgiving. And my TikTok took off. And then I just started using those as some of my YouTube shorts. And I did have some pretty good like YouTube long form that I did have one girl who did a really good job. And I love her. She did great at like editing, but I noticed no one really watches the long form content. It's more just the shorts still. But yeah, so you can just repurpose everything. But TikTok actually, my first year with TikTok, I had 7 closings from TikTok. My first year I had TikTok, which is pretty good for zero editing. I paid zero marketing. It was all just free. But more importantly, I added like 10 agents to my downline um, from TikTok. So, and then I opened up a coaching business and I did a ton of like 30-minute or 1 hour sessions. So that was like $100 here and there. I'd make a couple extra $100 a month just from coaching. And then I got my agents and grew to 25, which was awesome um, within a year. So it's cool.
That's awesome, Jen. Well, here's the deal, lady. We can talk all day long. You have such a great story, but I know it's busy. It's
Yeah.
Memorial Weekend, and I
Mhm.
know that today's our Monday, right? In real estate, it's the start of our Monday. Uh, we're gonna definitely have to do another podcast and see where your journey is headed in the rest of 2025. But what should we have talked about today that we didn't talk about?
If anyone wants it, they can message me on here. I'll leave my cell phone. They can get, if you say you listen to this podcast, I have an ADHD realtor checklist to 6 figures. And if you do it for a year, you'll make 6 figures your first year in real estate. Anyone who does it, they make 6 figures. I created it for all of us ADHD people because I feel like majority of us have that with real estate, which is why we're in real estate. because we can have the most craziest schedule ever and we still function.
That's awesome. Well, Jen, let's if the people out there want to find you, whether it's a realtor trying to make six figures or just a client that wants to use you as a realtor, how do they get hold of you? How do they find you? What's a good contact information?
Just call me. So it's 832-928-2977.
And if you're watching this live, folks, you saw that go across the lower thirds. And if I am a realtor and wants to make six figures my first year, guess what? Pick up the phone. Jen here is telling you she almost has a guaranteed program to get you six figures in the first year. Hey, if you're a client out there and you're looking to buy, sell, or do whatever in Wichita Falls area, call Jen. She's your lady. I mean, great personality, and she's very, very helpful. Well, I'm David Wynn. I'm with the Mortgage Edge podcast. Thanks for being with us today. See you guys later. Bye.
All right. Thank you, David.